A dive buddy can make or break your chances of having a fun, easygoing, and safe dive. So here's some tips to help you become the best dive buddy you can be. Hi guys, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. My name's Olivia. I'm a professional scuba diver, and I make a video every week on various scuba tips, training, and travel. So if you're interested in any of those topics, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right into the video. So the first thing that's really important with being a good dive buddy is making sure that you have familiarity with their gear. So all of their releases, where their weights are, how their gear is set up, where they put their accessories. Make sure you know what kind of alternate air source they use, whether that's air integrated or an alternate hose. Make sure you know where it's attached. Make sure you know how the attachment works. There's different types of attachments to secure your alternate into that triangle on your body. So just make sure that you really know that equipment. So make sure that you take your time, especially going through that BRAF or your pre-dive safety check before a dive, really going over the pieces of their equipment and making sure that you are super well versed on what they are wearing. The more familiar you are with your dive buddy's gear, the more likely you're going to be able to help them. So whether that's just, they're having a hard time reaching in a pocket for a specific accessory, or it is a full-on emergency, you're going to be able to know the functions of that equipment and be right on top of it for responding to whatever their need may be, which is going to make you a really good dive buddy. Second thing that's super important is communication. So communication is important in a lot of aspects of life. Scuba is no exception. You have very limited communication once you get underwater, so make sure you're really going over as much as you can at the surface before you get underwater and that communication barrier comes into play. So go over the dive plan. Make sure you're really clear on what the dive plan is. Make sure that you go over any non-standard hand signals that maybe you use and your buddy's not aware of, or that might be specific for this dive. So just a goofy example of this, I use this signal, this crossing my fingers, to let my buddy know that I have to go to the bathroom. This gives them a little bit of warning to scoot just a little bit further away from me, so they don't have to be right in my pee zone. And that's just something that I do for my buddies so that they don't have to be all up in my waist zone. And then I always think it's good to have like a slate or wet notes or some form of writing device so that anything that just, you didn't anticipate on the surface can't really be communicated through hand signals, or the message is getting lost through attempted miming. Then you can write it down and be right on the same page. And then after the dive, it's also important to communicate with your buddy again. So you want to make sure that you go over if they had any problems, if there was anything was uncomfortable for them, anything that could be done better, questions, whatever, after the dive too, to make sure that you're all still on the same page, and then ready next time you go diving together. Any adjustments can be made to keep improving. The third thing to being a great dive buddy is to make sure that you assist them. You want to be helping each other with weights, with tanks, getting your gear sorted, getting your accessories placed, anything that they need help with, camera, whatever. Just be a willing and lending hand before, during, and after the dive to help with gear. It's just the kind and courteous thing to do. Now, this is going to vary depending on what kind of diver you are. With recreational diving, you can be a little bit more hands-on, but the configurations and things for tech divers and more complex setup diving, you want to be more passive with your assisting. Let them do their gear and don't touch it, because they're doing things for a specific reason, and if you're messing with their gear, that can really throw things off. The fourth thing that's important in being a good dive buddy is to stay close to them. When you're underwater, the rule of thumb is to be within arm's reach of your buddy. Don't just leave them in the dust, right? Don't get so focused in on something or in your own little world out exploring that you completely leave your buddy behind. Having your buddy close by is for your own safety. They are your person to turn to if there is any sort of emergency. So you want to make sure you're staying close by to them so that you're ready to respond if anything happens to come up. Finally, the last thing that I think is super important in being a good dive buddy is to make sure you're checking in on them. So staying close to them is one thing, but actually checking in on them is super important to do as well. And usually by doing this, you're going to catch problems early enough on that they'll just be little problems that you can solve and move on rather than letting them spiral into large problems. This is also a good time to check their air pressure. I also like to check in with my buddies to just make sure that they're okay throughout the entirety of the dives. So the more you dive with someone, the more you're going to pick up on each other's techniques and behaviors, what your preferences are, your mode of communication, your air consumption. All these little details are things that the more you dive with somebody, the more you're gonna pick up on and just be able to, be on top of everything and really get into a flow that works for both of you. So I hope you found that helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a like. If you have any tips for things that you or your dive buddy do to be better stewards for each other, please drop them in the comments below. And I'll see you back here next week until we dive again. Bye. Hi guys, my name's Olivia. Oh, firework. There's like a festival happening like right across the street from where I live. So if you can hear loud music playing, I feel like you shouldn't be able to because of my mic, but just in case you do, that's what it is, and sorry. Oh, I gotta sneeze, hang on. Ooh, there it is. Gross.